I flew 18 hours to attend my sister's wedding. I hadn't seen my family in almost 2 years, and despite everything, I still thought showing up would mean something. But the moment I reached the venue, my parents stopped me at the entrance. "Leave," my mother said coldly. "Only family is allowed. You weren't invited." I thought it was a joke until I saw my sister walk past me without even making eye contact. So I left, humiliated, confused. 3 days later, my phone rang. "Why haven't you paid the $38,000 wedding bill?" my mother asked. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. By the time I reached the venue, my legs were already sore from the 18-hour flight, but I didn't care. I stood there for a moment, just looking at the place. It was beautiful. White flowers everywhere, soft music drifting through the open doors, guests laughing and sipping champagne. For a second, I smiled. This was my little sister's wedding. I adjusted my jacket, picked up the gift I'd carried halfway across the world, and stepped toward the entrance. That's when my father blocked my path. He didn't even look surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" he asked flatly. I laughed a little, thinking he was joking. "Dad, it's me." My mother stepped forward before he could say anything else. Her expression was cold, controlled. "You need to leave," she said. I blinked. "What?" "Only invited guests are allowed inside." I felt my chest tighten. "I am invited. I'm her brother." My mother shook her head slowly. "No, you're not." Behind them, I saw my sister. She walked past the entrance in her wedding dress, glowing, smiling, and when her eyes met mine, she didn't react. Not even a flicker. She just looked away. Like I wasn't there. Like I didn't exist. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. They meant it. I didn't go back inside. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds after the doors closed, just staring at my reflection in the glass like I was trying to recognize the person looking back at me. Then I turned around and walked away. But the truth is, part of me wasn't even surprised. This wasn't new. It was just louder. Growing up, everything had always revolved around my sister, Emily. She was the golden child. The one with the big dreams, the big emotions, the big expectations. I was the opposite. Quiet, reliable, the one who didn't make trouble, which meant I was also the one who got overlooked. When Emily wanted piano lessons, they found the money. When she wanted to switch schools, they made it happen. When she decided she needed a destination wedding, apparently, they built their whole world around it. And me? I was the one who helped. I paid for things when they couldn't. Covered bills they didn't talk about. Sent money when my dad's business slowed down. No one asked, I just did it. Because that's what family does, right? At least, that's what I believed. I remembered the last time my mom called me before the wedding. "Emily's stressed," she said. "This day has to be perfect." I told her not to worry, that I'd be there. Funny how no one ever told me. I wasn't part of that perfect day. 3 days passed before I heard from them again. No apology. No explanation. Not even a message asking if I got home safe. Just silence. I was sitting in my apartment, still jet-lagged, still trying to make sense of everything when my phone rang. "Mom." I stared at the screen for a second before answering. "Hello." "Why haven't you paid the wedding bill yet?" she said immediately. No greeting. No hesitation. I actually thought I misheard her. What? The venue. The catering. The final invoice came in this morning. It's $38,000. They said you haven't processed the payment. I sat up straight. Why would I be paying for Emily's wedding? There was a pause. Not confusion, annoyance. "Because you agreed to," she said, like it was obvious. "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did. Don't start this now." My chest tightened. "Mom, I wasn't even invited to the wedding." "That's not the point," she snapped. "You said you'd help the family. This is helping." I never agreed to pay $38,000. Another pause. Then her voice shifted, colder. "We have it in writing." Something in my stomach dropped. "What do you mean in writing?" "You signed the authorization," she said. "The venue has her approval on file." I didn't say anything for a few seconds, because suddenly, this didn't feel like a misunderstanding anymore. "Send it to me," I said quietly. A minute later, my phone buzzed. I opened the document. And there it was. My name. My signature. Perfectly placed at the bottom of a $38,000 payment agreement. Only, I had never signed it. I didn't call her back. Instead, I sat there, staring at the document on my phone, forcing myself to breathe slowly. Because the first instinct, the natural one, was to react, to argue, to explode. But that wouldn't help me. So I did what I've always done best. I started looking at the details. I opened the file again and zoomed in on the signature. At first glance, it looked perfect, clean, confident, exactly like mine. But the more I studied it, the more something felt off. The pressure points were wrong. The spacing between the letters slightly uneven. Subtle things most people would never notice. But I noticed. Because it wasn't mine. I downloaded the full contract and read every line. Slowly. Carefully. That's when I saw the timestamp. The agreement had supposedly been signed 2 weeks before the wedding. 2 weeks before. I'd been in another country, working late nights, barely sleeping. There was no way I'd signed anything in person. Then I checked the authorization method. Digital submission. Email verified. My jaw tightened. I pulled up my inbox and searched for the venue's name. Nothing. No confirmation. No draft. No approval request. Which meant one thing. Someone had created a fake trail. Now I wasn't just angry. I was focused. I called the venue directly. Kept my voice calm, professional. Asked for a copy of all correspondence tied to my name. The woman on the line hesitated at first, then sent everything. Emails. Attachments. Payment instructions. All of it coming from an address that looked like mine but wasn't. One letter off. Easy to miss. Deliberate. Calculated. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen. This wasn't desperation. This wasn't stress before a wedding. This was planned. And for the first time since I stood outside that venue, I stopped feeling like the victim. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I called my mom the next morning like nothing had changed. I got the documents, I said calmly. I'll take care of it. The relief in her voice was instant. I knew you'd do the right thing, she said. Family comes first. I almost laughed. Of course, I replied. Just give me a couple of days. That was all I needed. 2 days to put everything in place. First, I forwarded every document to a legal advisor. Someone who specialized in financial fraud. I didn't dramatize it. I just gave him the facts. The forged signature. The fake email trail. The payment authorization under my name. His response was simple. This is serious. Don't pay anything. Second, I contacted the venue again. This time, I wasn't asking questions. I was informing them. I explained that the authorization they had on file was fraudulent. That my identity had been used without consent. That any attempt to charge me would be disputed formally. There was a long silence on the other end. Then the tone changed. Professional. Careful. Concerned. They asked for documentation. I sent everything. Within hours, they replied. The payment request had been reassigned. Not to me. To the original contracting party. My parents. I waited one more day before answering my mom's next call. Her voice wasn't calm this time. What did you do? She demanded. I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch for a second. I corrected a mistake, I said. This isn't funny, she snapped. The venue is demanding full payment from us. Immediately. Then you should probably pay it. I replied evenly. We can't afford that. I exhaled slowly. That sounds like a problem. You said you would handle it. No, I said. You said I would. Big difference. Her voice dropped, sharp and desperate. After everything we've done for you? That was the moment. The same line. The same justification. I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. You forged my name, I said quietly. You made me responsible for something I never agreed to. That's not family. That's fraud. Silence. For the first time, she had nothing to say. They stopped calling after that. No more messages. No more guilt. No more pretending. At first, I kept checking my phone out of habit, like I was expecting something, an apology, maybe. some kind of acknowledgement that what they did was wrong. But nothing came. And eventually, I stopped expecting it. A few weeks later, I heard through a relative that my parents had taken out a loan to cover the wedding costs. The perfect day ended up costing them far more than they ever planned. Emily? She never reached out. Not once. I saw photos online, though. The smiling couple. The flawless decorations. The captions about love and family and unforgettable moments. Looking at them, you'd never know what it actually cost. Not just money. Everything else. For a long time, I thought walking away would feel heavy. Like I was losing something important. But the truth is, it felt quiet. Peaceful. Like putting down a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying for years. I moved forward. Focused on my own life. My own work. My own choices. No expectations. No obligations. Just clarity. Months later, I ran into my mom by accident at a grocery store. She looked older. Tired. For a moment, it felt like she wanted to say something. But she didn't. Neither did I. I just nodded and kept walking. Because some lines, once crossed, don't get redrawn. And some lessons, people only learn when it finally costs them everything.